Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing good. We are going to discuss today about the book purchase with Koha. We are going to discuss in detail that how we can manage the acquisition of the books in Koha. Uh, Prior to this, we have already discussed on different issues to manage with Koha, like we have discussed circulation, we have discussed cataloging, we have discussed the report, and also we have seen that how we can manage other details or other routine work what we do in our library, in which acquisition is also one of the very important part of Koha and as well as in the library, because whatever the purchasing we do, based on that we prepare catalog and further the circulation takes place. So I would like to just draw your attention towards the procedure which we follow, especially in India. So then after we will see that how we can easily manage with Koha. So let me share my screen and then I will demonstrate. So I just want to show you first that what is the procedure we follow in India, especially in Indian context. If we discuss the process, we follow this step. The first step starts with collecting the recommendation. Your authorized user, generally it is faculty and research scholar. In most of the cases, you will find only faculty recommending the books in library. But yes, it is up to us, or it is up to your policy, that if you are receiving recommendation from research scholar, in means duly forwarded by head of the department or concerned supervisor or guide, so that also we receive for purchasing or considering the book purchase. Once we receive the recommendation, after that we check with our catalog and ensure that the book is not available, or if it is available, so we check whether the book which is recommended by faculty is really required, or we are not having the latest edition, so we can purchase the new book of the latest edition. Once we confirm that okay, uh, this book is required or this book is not available, so here one case applies, that if book is available and not suggested is in the means, in that case it will not be procured. But if yes, if not available or required, in that case we prepare the list further for final financial approval from the competent authority, that yes, we have prepared the list and we want to procure it. And after that we send the purchase order. So you please pay attention here. We do send the purchase order, but only with the registered or impaneled vendor. This empanelment we start or we do in the beginning when our purchase procedure starts. So we do the empanelment or we do the registration of the vendor for certain period. Sometimes it is 1 year, 2 year, or in many cases in other institutions they do it for 3 years also. So once we complete the empanelment, so after the financial approval for the purchase of the particular book or the list, we just once we get the financial approval, we prepare the purchase order and send it to concerned vendor. Send to concerned vendor. Vendor means it is. I will describe in detail that what are the complications takes place, especially when we have more than two vendors in library, or we do not have more means sufficient number of vendors. So that has got long list of questions which can be separately discussed, but here we have to understand that after preparing the purchase order we have to send it to vendor, and once it is sent to the vendor, finally the vendor receives and supply the books with invoice, and we receive the book with invoice and process it and do also accessioning in the accession register. After that, we send it to account section for payment, and once they make the payment to concerned vendor, so what happens? That book is procured, the payment is also made. Now it goes to the technical process, technical processing, where what happens? Classification of the book plus cataloging plus tooling. It includes writing the call number, labeling, pasting, everything. And once it is done, it goes to the stack section. Stacks. So we generally do it manually. Most of the work we do it manually, right from here, right from receiving recommendation and until up to the preparing the list for financial approval. This work we do it completely manually, because unless or until we have the financial approval, we do not create or we do not generate anything in the system. So after that, once we get the final approval, we our work may start in the software. So now I'm going to show you, especially in acquisition, means in Koha, how we can discuss or how we can manage the acquisition process in Koha. So in Koha, you can manage, but before that, you need to do some important setting in Koha. Then only it will properly run. Otherwise, it may give you error. So what the budget? First, you have to define the budget. Define the budget in the system. System means I will take you to uh, Koha now, and as you can see that here I have already Koha running at the background. So I logged in and I'm using version Koha 23.11.04. So what I was trying to show you, that first we have to define the budget. So once you are in Koha, you are supposed to set up the details in the Koha administration before you go for the final acquisition process to start. So where do you get this? The first one is that acquisition parameter, you get it in Koha administration. So you are supposed to define the budget first. Here you see there is a budget, and you can also notice that no active budget so far created for this financial year. And I would like to mention here that in India we follow the financial year from 1st April uh, of current year to next year of 31st March, and that is our financial year. So when we create the budget, when it is finalized by the account section, or they let you know that this will be your total budget, so we define it in the software. So when does it start? It starts from the 1st April and it goes up to the next year of March 31st. So this is complete 1 year. And here we can write like library budget, how much amount you have been given. For example, 1 crore, 100 lakhs. So you define here. And also don't forget to just click on make budget active. If you do not make this budget active, so it may not deduct the amount of the purchased book from this budget, and then you save it. So new budget is defined. Now I have to allocate the fund. Why do we do the allocation? Because in universities or big institutions, they have the multiple department. For example, if I take my institution, so we have more than 15 departments where we do allocation department wise. For example, if we have been given 1 crore rupees, so we do allocation subject to the requirement and also the number of students in that particular course. So let's say I'm not going to do the department wise allocation right now. I will do the item wise the allocation. I mean to say that for books I'm going to allocate 50 lakhs, and for the resources, online resources, I'm going to allocate 50 lakhs. So I'm going to basically define or allocate two funds to this budget. And for that, since I have already created the budget, so I will go to the action button and create here one fund. So I'll click on add fund, and I will give the fund code name BOOK. books and monographs. So this is my first budget, and amount I am just allocating 50 lakhs. And then for which library I will be processing. There is no restriction for this head, and I will click on submit. Similarly, since I out of 1 crore I have allocated 50 lakhs to books, and again I will go to click on new budget for library, new fund for library budget, and here I will again allocate the PER. Suppose I am writing periodicals, and I am going to allocate 50 lakhs again for this budget. I will be using for central library, and then finally click on submit button. So my budget and funds both are allocated. You can see the total 100 lakhs in my system. The third one, which is important, and that is the currency. Unless or until you define the currency here, it may not calculate the exact amount for deduction. So you have to create one currency in which all the transaction will be processed, and it will deduct the amount accordingly. So since we are dealing in India, in means our Indian currency is rupees, so we'll define the currency. Uh, Suppose INR, rate is 1 rupees, symbol suppose I am giving RS, and I will make this budget active. One thing I would like to mention here, that please ensure there is no space in between of the code which you are defining, because if it creates if you are creating any space in between of the code, it may not calculate, or it will give you error at the time of processing the uh, acquisition cases in Koha. So now you see I have created INR, and this will be my current currency or default currency for dealing with all transaction in Koha for managing the acquisition process. And I have made it active. So three things I have done. What? First, I have created the budget. After that, I have created the fund, and then I have created the currency. Now let me go back to the administration. Up to here, we have done the basic three parameters. Next is which we have to do, that is the vendor creation. See, up to here we have done. Now the next one is the adding the vendor. See, as I already mentioned, that when we complete the empanelment or do the registration, we need to add them one by one in the software. Then only we can generate the purchase order, and the order goes to the concerned vendor which are impaneled for certain period of time to supply the books. So for that you have to just go to the acquisition module, and you can choose new vendor here, and here you can give suppose because publication, or it is whatever the empanelment you have done, you can give the name of that supplier and then complete the postal address. And after giving the postal address, please do not forget the email address, because suppose you are generating the PO and you want to send it through email. So for that, you are supposed to give the email ID, then only it will trigger the mail. Otherwise, it may not reach to the vendor on time. And by default, suppose you are giving discount of 25% to this supplier for all books, and delivery time is 30 days. So if you by default give here, so every time when you are doing or generating the PO, it will by default calculate the 25% discount on the book which you are going to be ordered. But you have to be careful when you are placing the order, because sometimes we do not get uh, the agreed discount on books. Sometimes if it is the low discount case, or if it is the book of society or government agency, so supplier may not be able to give you the agreed discount. So in that case you have to be careful, otherwise it will calculate the discount and deduct from your budget based on the discount you have mentioned here. So you have two options. Either you can mention here or you can leave it. It is up to you. It is not necessary that you give here. But for auto calculation, for all the books, suppose you are agreeing or you have given the instruction to supplier that on all books you will be giving 25% discount. So you can mention here. So one vendor I have created and now I click on save. Similarly, you can create another vendor. You can create another vendor. For example, I give Atlantic Publication, New Delhi, and I give here email ID, for example, and then I'm not going to give any rate or anything. Here I am just giving 30 days. I'm not going to define any discount here, and then finally I'll click on save. So what happened is I have created two vendors here, and so all the required parameter I have already defined. And now what I have to do, I have to start the acquisition process. So generating report part I will come later, because a report we can generate once we complete the process. So now we are ready to move for starting the acquisition process in Koha. But here you have to be very careful, and you have to know the steps which you will be following. So in Koha especially, we follow all the acquisition steps in three part. Part one, where we generate the PO. Part one will be generating purchase order and sending to vendor or whoever is your supplier. Second part will be invoice processing and accessioning. Accessioning means you have to mention the accession number in the register and process the bill for payment. And third one is the payment update. Payment update means once the payment made and the library has been updated, that payment has been made to be updated in software, so it will deduct the amount accordingly. So what we do, how do we start the process? It starts the process in all the steps searching the vendor. So first work is in Koha that you have to search the vendor. Search the vendor means you will be generating or sending the PO to whom. See, once again, I'll draw your attention here. Once we finalize the list of approval means books and get the financial approval, now it is our duty that we prepare the purchase order, and it is the library decision that whom the order will be placed to, means registered vendor. So up to here, we have completed the process, and now we have also decided that whom we are going to place the order. So because of that, we start the process right from the searching. So search the vendor, then create the, in Koha I'm telling, PO, which is known as a basket in Koha. Create the PO. After that, add the title, means what are the books you are going to place order in this purchase order. What are the titles you want to add? After adding the title, you are supposed to close the PO, means basket. And then once we close the basket, send the PO to vendor either through mail or post. It is your decision. So let's imagine that once you send the PO, now the second step starts when you receive the book. It starts only after receiving the books physically with invoice. Means once we receive, we do the check whether the books have been supplied in a good condition, whether the title which we placed order are the same. Likewise we do for all the books. So again it starts from searching the vendor. How do we know that this book belongs to this vendor? Because we have invoice in our hand, and we process the particular invoice which we have received from particular suppliers. That's why we know that I have to search the PO or search the vendor whom we placed the order to verify and add it in the software. So here after searching the vendor, it will show your PO, your basket or PO, it will show in the list. Here you have to do receive shipment. See, physically you have received in the received physically in the library, but in software to process it you have to click on receive button. Once you click on receive shipment, it will show the title which you have already placed the order. Select the title or check the title and receive. There will be one button receive option. So once you click on receive option, it will take you to next window. Here you get two window. One is the catalog and accounting. So in catalog you will add the accession number, add the number of copies, and in accounting section, in accounting, which will appear in the right side, what we do, add the check the amount, and then finally what we do, we save it, then finish receiving. Once we click on finish receiving, we send the invoice for payment to vendor. So this is the second steps we complete here. Third steps starts only after making the payment. Once we receive the information from account section that the payment has been made against the purchase order and the book received for the particular invoice. So again the work starts after 7 days. Suppose you get information. So again here we search the vendor, we search the invoice, because by now we have entered the invoice number, and I will show you one more option will appear where we have to give the invoice number manually in the second option. After searching the invoice, open the invoice, mention the date of billing and close the invoice. So these three steps, once we complete, our purchase of that particular book gets completed. Now let me show you in this Koha, step 1, step 2 and step 3. So as I already demonstrated that we have completed the setting portion where we have created the budget, fund, currency, and also we have created the vendor. So every time we don't have to do, because this is one time job in the beginning of the financial year where you give the instruction to Koha that whatever book will be purchased, it will be purchased from these vendors which have been added for this financial year. Let's start the step 1. I go to acquisition and I search the vendor. For example, I search the Atlantic and I get that this vendor is available. If it was not available, it would not show anything. There you have to create vendor. So since we have already created, so this is showing Atlantic publication, which is not having any basket, or basket means any PO or any subscription of the periodical, no pending purchase order. So what we will do, we will create the, let us see the first step. After searching, we will create the basket. So here I am just going to create the basket. So this number we are supposed to give manually. So suppose I am giving basket number AP01 and I am just using this option. Item option is very important. I will show you this, you can fix it. When do you want to create the item detail? As you remember when we discussed the catalog, there we already discussed that every catalog has two portions. The first part contains the bibliographic detail. Second part contains the item detail where we mention the accession number, call number, location, and also the price, item type, everything. So here it is asking that for this purchase order, where you want to receive the order or where do you want to create the item at the time of receiving order. Yes, because unless or until the books are in our hand in Indian scenario, we cannot generate the accession number. Once we receive invoice and book in hand, then only we assign the accession number to the book. So item receive will be created. I mean, accession number will be generated when we receive the order. So this you have to mention. This you can fix it as a default. So every time when you are generating the PO, this option you don't have to choose. Automatically it will appear as receiving an order. And finally you click on save. So this order number is created. AP01 is created. And now third one, that add the title means against this order, what are the books will be added. So I will click on add to basket, and here you can see that there are many options for adding the purchase order title to purchase order. So the this one I will suggest always create new empty record. If you have duplicate checking already done or you want to place the order from the existing order or existing file, you can go ahead, but I always suggest that you place the order with empty record. Why? Because here you get an option to fill up the basic detail like add user who has recommended the book, so that they get the notification when the book is available in the library. So I search the particular, suppose faculty name or the user who has placed the recommended the book for placing the PO. So I have given the added the detail, and now I will add the title theory of management. I will give the author name, publisher, let's say Elsevier, edition, second edition, publication year. It is up to you that you give all the detail, and finally you choose the item type and how many copies you want to place the order. So right now I am just going to show you only one. Later I will show you the number of copies more of the same title. Fund, it will be from the book. How much amount? Suppose 500 or 5000. Now you notice, since we have not given discount to this vendor, so it is not coming any discount. It is the total amount is coming without discount. But if I give 25% here, notice here automatically the amount which will be deducted from the ordered number of books, it will be deducted the percentage calculation and number of copies you have ordered from the budget, and then finally click on save. So I just completed the purchase, adding the generating the PO. I have created the PO, added the title. Now it's time to close the PO. After this, you can generate it in Excel file, you can export it, or you can send the mail if you have already configured. So if you send the mail here, this particular title will go. Vendor has no contact selected for the sending order, so you can configure it later also. There is no compulsion that you do everything here. Finally, you don't forget to close the basket, otherwise it will not allow you to process the invoice when the book comes in the library. So I click on close basket. So my first step, just confirm, yes, close it. My first step of placing order is complete. Now you see one order is in the Atlantic publication. So our first work is over. You see the first one is over. Now second step will start only when the book is in your hand. So let us imagine practically. Let's say I logged out, I go home after 7 days or 30 days, book arrives in the library. on my table the book comes, I check the invoice book and I come to know that this book is from supplier Atlantic. So what I do, I will again log in, and as I already mentioned that every work starts from the searching vendor in acquisition. So I again will search the vendor. Where do I go? I go to acquisition and I will search for the supplier. So I'll just click on this. And if you remember, we placed the order with this order number. Now, as I already mentioned that once you see, you have to click on receive shipment. You see here I have mentioned it will show the PO, and now you have to click on receive shipment. So how do I go? I click on receive shipment. So when I click on receive shipment, it will ask you to add the invoice number. Remember here, it will ask you to add the invoice number. How do you get the invoice number? Because you have already invoice received from the supplier. So you mention the invoice number here, and then if there is any shipping cost available with this title, if the supplier is asking to pay shipping cost, so you can choose, otherwise you leave it. And then next, once you click on next, it will show you the titles. It will show you the titles which you have placed the purchase order against your order number. Now you see this is my purchase order number, this is the title. I check, verify that this was the amount, and now after discount the total amount will be this. So once I confirm that my details which I entered is correct, I will click on receive button. Receive means I am going to receive it in the system so that it calculates the amount and process it in the Koha. So as you remember, I mentioned that it will contain two parts, catalog and accounting. So in catalog, by now you must have completed the accession. I mean the detail you might have entered in the accession register. So based on that, you can suppose I am going to send it on display once we receive the book, and then you choose the barcode accession number you have to give. So let's say I have given barcode number 100, and price will be effective from 5th, and similarly you can give the amount, the price. So generally we give the price in here, suppose 375 after discount, whatever, or whatever the policy you are following, without discount you are mentioning. And then item type, this book will be under which item type, so this is the book. And then you click on add item. Here you have to notice that if there are multiple copies, suppose 10 copies, you can choose here, but I will always suggest to click one by one, because you have to add the call number, you have to add sometimes the copy number or sometimes volume number. So click one by one, and once you click confirm that catalog detail, now you see this is minimized, this window is minimized. Right side you can check the invoice detail, so the date, received, fund, it is going to deduct the amount from uh, library budget, books and monographs, and how many copies was ordered, one, and how many has been received, one, and total amount 500, but actual cost we are going to pay after discount 375. So everything is okay. Now I click on confirm. So as you see, once you confirm, now it will ask you to save the, it will ask you, once I confirm, save it. And once you confirm save, now we have to click on finish receiving. Now this second option is okay. So I will, suppose I save it, item has been modified. Now my second option is also completed. I click on finish receiving, and now I will send the invoice for payment to the account section. So imagine after up to here, after completing this, I will log out, and I will again, after 7 days, once the payment is made, when I come to library, I get the information that payment is made against this order to this supplier. So what I will do, again I will search the same supplier to update the payment detail in the software. So it was means I have placed order to Atlantic. So I search the vendor. Now I will go to search the invoice. You just see here left side invoice. So this was my invoice. I will open it, and I must have received the billing date on which day the payment has been made. Once I check this, I will choose close. Close means after payment has been made, the invoice should be closed, so that in future you are generating any reports, it will, you can generate the report that how many payment has already been processed and updated in Koha. And now you click on save. So the process has been completed. Now let's go and search in the catalog. So theory of management, yes, see here, this was the book which we have placed order and also received in the software. So you see all the detail, everything. And now the, if you click on acquisition detail, it will show that which vendor it was sent, what was the invoice number, what was the PO number, when it was created, when it was received, how much amount has been paid. All the detail you will get if you are going through the acquisition then catalog. If you are going through retrospective conversion of the catalog, the acquisition detail it may not show. But if you are going step by step, it will show all the detail in this way. So this is the process how we manage the book purchase in Koha, and I hope that the process which I demonstrated, it will help you to manage the book purchase in Koha with ease. But the other details also, other details, there are many other options available in acquisition, which we will discuss in the second part of acquisition, where I will demonstrate that how you can generate the report, how you can send mail order through mail, and also how other options like multiple copies, multiple volume, and many other options which we deal or the face problem when we deal with the acquisition process. So we will see in the next video. So thank you very much for joining and uh, sharing, I mean, spending time, your valuable time with me. I hope this video will help you to understand the process of acquisition in Koha. And I also guess and trust that you will implement acquisition book purchasing with Koha in your institute to make your system more useful and easy, and also to effective. So till then, uh, good night to all. Please take care of yourself. We'll again connect tomorrow at the same time. There I will demonstrate the rest of the options available in acquisition and other possibilities with Koha. So good night to you all. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the next video.